Let's talk a little recruiting. And I got my guy Steve Wiltfong here. He wrote a phenomenal article right now on the front page of on3.com where he's projecting where some of the top 5 stars in the 2026 class will land. One of the most electric predictions has to do with number 1 QB Jared Curtis. So that's what we're here to talk about. Steve, lay it out for us. Jared Curtis recently narrowed his list of options down to a top 6, possibly a final 6. So who are the teams in the running?
Well, from that 6, the 3 schools that I think he's the highest on are Oregon, Georgia, and South Carolina. He also has Alabama, Auburn, and Ohio State warm. Bill Belichick went in his house. He has a visit to North Carolina on the itinerary for March. Same with Georgia. But going into the spring, I like where the Oregon Ducks stand. Since he decommitted from Georgia, he tells me that his relationship with Dan Lanning, Will Stein, and Oregon has gotten better and better. He's been out to Eugene twice. He recently told me, I like Oregon a lot. I think he likes Oregon the most.
Wow.
So I am predicting him to land with Oregon. They already have the nation's number 1 ranked recruiting class per the On3 industry. And I think as it stands right now, they are setting the tone for Jared Curtis. And Curtis has been to his top schools numerous times. He has official visits set for June to Oregon, Georgia, and South Carolina. But with all the head coaches that came and visited him this past month and all the conversations he's having with his family and representation, I wouldn't be surprised if he came off the board sooner rather than later and started helping build a class.
Yeah, that's what I've kind of figured with the number 1 quarterback in the country. It's only a matter of time until he plants his flag. And the earlier he plants his flag with that program, the earlier he can get some of these top recruits to gather around with him. So it wouldn't surprise me if he did come off the board. Now, he's I want to say a recent decommit, but he decommitted from Georgia about 4 or 5 months ago. Bulldogs, though, you have them in the top group despite that decommitment?
Yeah, absolutely. He loves offensive coordinator Mike Bobo, assistant quarterbacks coach Montgomery Van Gorder, Georgia, the program, the consistency, always competing for championships, proximity to home, the standard. There's a lot of things that he likes about Georgia, but I think Oregon is just the program that has his attention right now with the season that they had, the way they're building it up, his connection with Will Stein, Dan Lanning, and that coaching staff. They have the momentum right now in this recruitment, and they've really had it since the fall. When he decommitted from Georgia, he told me Oregon led. He came on here and told you that Oregon led. I still think that there's maybe been some back and forth with Georgia since that moment, but I think Oregon is the program, again, that has the edge right now. That is who I think leads at this point in his process as he continues to have conversations with his family and representation about where it's best for him to play his college football.
All right, well, if that is to happen, then we're about to see a potential shakeup of the QB dominoes because Oregon already has an elite quarterback, Jonas Williams, committed to them. What happens with Jonas Williams, who is already receiving some attention from some major programs?
Well, I think Oregon would love to sign 2 quarterbacks this cycle. We talked about that a little bit on Wiltfong Whip Around, which you can also watch on the On3 Recruits channel. So hit like and subscribe. Ting. But look, Oregon would like to sign 2 quarterbacks this cycle. They wanted to sign 2 last cycle, and they did, but they only have 1 on the team still, as Jaron Key Sagapolatelli is already in the portal and at Cal. So they'd like to get 2 high school quarterbacks this cycle. I don't think it's going to be Jared Curtis and Jonas Williams. I like the way it's going for Jared Curtis. I think Jonas Williams is likely going to end up elsewhere. USC maybe has a slight edge over LSU because he's fresh off a great visit to USC.
Right.
Lincoln Riley was just at his school. He's leading that recruitment. He feels like the guy for USC in 2026 because Ryder Lyons is the guy for USC and everybody else in 2027, including Oregon. I think LSU is the other major contender. They were the runner-up for Jonas Williams the first time when he picked Oregon. Joe Sloan, offensive coordinator, recently was up in the Chicagoland to visit with Jonas Williams. There's talk about getting him down in March. Wouldn't be surprised if he went back out to USC one more time and then went to LSU in March and then an official visit. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just flipped too. I mean, like, these things happen quickly, especially with quarterbacks, because people are putting it all on the table. I know USC would certainly love to get him in the fold. LSU trying to get him back to campus. Those are the two. Ole Miss recently offered Jonas Williams. They'd have to come from behind. Landon Duckworth seems like the emerging guy for Lane Kiffin and company right now in that class. So, but Jared Curtis, trend in Oregon, in my opinion, right now. Georgia battling. Jonas Williams, maybe a slight trend to USC, LSU battling, current Oregon commit. Ryder Lyons, number 10 player overall in 2026. He's going to take an LDS mission, so that makes him a 2027 quarterback. That's a USC-Oregon battle right now with Michigan and some other programs. BYU is in there. Michigan, BYU, maybe a little Arizona. So you have those programs in there for Ryder Lyons. You got Ole Miss with Landon Duckworth. I think we've kind of touched on a lot of things here.
The Jared Curtis, if and when he comes off the board, it's going to create a stir with the QB domino. So Oregon fans, talk to us. How you feeling right now about the latest intel from Steve Wiltfong on number 1 quarterback Jared Curtis? Let us know how you're feeling. Comment section below.